there is a position for African Nova Scotian affairs. Now, when you look at African Nova Scotian affairs, not necessarily related to African, Nova Scotia has one of the biggest African Canadian or Black Canadians communities in the country. Is what it has a rich history of Black Canadians. It's I think one of the best histories that you can tell. That I don't know why movies haven't been made about this. It should be in Nova Scotia. I think they have a rich history and they have a lot of things, and they have been able to prevail despite all of the hurdles that have been happening for hundreds of years. Now, the premier of Nova Scotia, in a rich Black province, he decided to put a white man as the minister of African Nova
Bye.
Scotian affair. Uh, he defended it, and again, people are outraged, as they should. And he said he's saying that there were no Black Tory candidates among the 31 members who won the riding in the 17th provincial election, which is not true because North Preston had three Black candidates, but
I've
unfortunately,
been
some people
waiting to ask that like all week. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up already.
which
Like
is
I
not
thought
true.
we covered this months ago that North Preston had an all Black riding and a Black,
Yes.
so nobody won North Preston.
No,
It's anarchy.
they went it, but it wasn't one of his party. That's the difference. So what happens? How
Yo,
politics work is like this, and it is not supposed to be like that. But what they do is that if your party wins a majority, you put
I,
people in your party.
I know.
So
For
nobody
the
Black in
votes.
that party won. They could put a liberal person like that. There's not, they could put a liberal person in that position. That's in parliament. They could put an NDP. They could do that, but they choose not to. That's pretty much what it comes to. But that's what he's saying. He's saying that no Black people in his party won. So he had no choice to put a white man as the minister of African Nova Scotia affairs. So again, I'm not gonna dig into much this because this is just ridiculous. Clinton, what's your take on it?
I mean, now this I can really talk about, like you were saying, in terms of PR and like talk about not being on brand, man. Like, I mean, the public perception of making a choice like this is so ridiculous. Sure, you can state, yeah, because probably for strategic reasons in terms of what voting, getting votes passed and having people in your party in the cabinet makes sense. But at least Nova Scotia is a province that is at least pretending to make a lot of forward movement in reconciliation with their dark history with Black Nova Scotians. They're pretending, and this couldn't be a worse like slap in the face to that forward momentum. There isn't a whole lot to say about this. Like you said, Fidel, there's not a lot to dig into other than the fact that it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and that's all there is to say about it. Uh, I was a bit speechless, as I think we all were, as were a lot of our followers that commented on the post we made. It's just absurd. Yeah.
Hillary, what's your take on it?
Like the same. I'm just I'm baffled at the level of stupidity, but at the same time, as much as it's like bad PR, it's on brand for the conservatives. Of course, it's not that shocking, but it's also so shocking. It's just I can't. I don't know if I would rather at least a white commissioner against systemic racism to be able to be like, Blaine, you're an idiot too. But we just have no one, because at least this guy can be like, that was stupid. But you have a point, like you've got a person, there's a person in that role. You picked a white person, which is laughable. I don't know.
Look,
We're all speechless.
Yeah.
It is just insane. Because this is the kicker of the thing. If it was in New Brunswick, there's no Black MLAs. If in PI, I think there's one Black MLA. I think there's one.
Gord McNally or McDowney. I hope I'm not getting his name wrong, but he's going to be on the show.
It's McNally.
McNally.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's one. In Nova Scotia, a record number of black MLAs got elected now. So they know they have more than one. They have like three or four. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have three or four. I think that's what it is. They have three or four black MLAs that could do the job. The only thing is that they're not part of the Conservative Party, which you could, if they want to, they could put a liberal there. They could put
But
that. They could put an NDP there. They can do that, but they choose not to do it.
well, it's like we were saying before about Blaine with the indigenous. If you're like, he's conservative, he wants to please his party and his voters. Like the people voting for
Same
him would
thing.
rather it be probably a white person and not a black person. So he's like, he's pandering to his own group. He's giving them what they want. I'm sure, but it is like extremely laughable, even more so that they have so many. They actually have black options, and it's like, no, we're going to get a white person to do this. Clearly, they know more about Nova Scotian African affairs than all the black possibilities.
That for me is the ridiculous thing. And I just clarified, they have four black MLAs. Four.
Devil's advocate here, just for
Why?
balance here. No, listen. How often in cabinets across the country do parties put people from other parties in their cabinet?
All the time.
Okay, so then
Oh,
It doesn't.
I was on that
What did you
team.
think I
I
was
was like,
gonna say?
okay.
Look,
I wasn't sure what you were going to say, but that is what I was thinking all along. Like, of course, a conservative is going to put a conservative in, but and it being conservative, obviously, they're not going to pick like a black person to make it better. It's not that surprising.
as long as you're an MLA, you are able to fulfill a position as a minister. It's the premier that decides who he's going to put in his cabinet, and you are allowed to put, as long as they're an elected official, you're allowed to put them in.
But
So
allowed
across
is
the
differently
country,
than
lots of
doing
different
it.
cabinets across the country in different provinces have put people of other parties in their cabinet.
It happens a lot in places like Ontario, and it happens a lot in
Why would they
places
pick
like
someone
Quebec,
from another party?
because that person is qualified. For example, in Quebec,
And they want to
you can,
show
well,
what
no,
word I'm looking
one
for,
one
a
of the things
sense
that,
of
for
cooperation.
example, if you have and I think this happened, and I have to, like, in Quebec, it has happened quite a lot because they have different parties like the Bloc Québécois and things like that. If you do a coalition, right, like if the NDP unites with the Liberals, right, to get a majority on votes, and it happens in Quebec, like the Bloc Québécois unites with
Minority
NDP,
governments.
yeah, to get it, they are
But
able to.
Nova Scotia
They're
is a
able,
majority, right?
yeah, it's a majority
I wonder
conservative.
how often it happens. Okay.
Yeah, but for example, that an example is like if you form an alliance with, like, I don't know, with the NDP, right? Because you form an alliance with them, you can put people of the NDP as minister. And I know it happens in Quebec with a lot of farming people, like they're very so they have to put somebody that's kind of like in their bubble. But again, it's not uncommon. You could do it. It's not like illegal. Like you could do it. It has happened. Uh, they just chose not to do it.
They should have done it at this time that we're in society. They should have done it. But in most
Uh,
majority governments, they probably never do, right?
No, they do. Again, it depends on the situation, right, and the position,
And
right.
this is a situation in which they should have done it.
Exactly. Like like again.
I'm just looking for context. That's all. But they should have done it. Like
It would be interesting though. I'm curious. I will probably look it up. But like, did they pick any other members of any other parties for any other positions?
good question.
Because like,
No, they
what if
didn't.
they made, like, I don't know, the person for environment a liberal, a white liberal, but then if African affairs is a white conservative?
No, they usually don't. And again, it's because it's politician favored. What you're having to do, because as a leader of a party, what people expect from you is that you put your people first, right? And if then you put the crumbs to whatever the hell. However, in this particular situation, I mean, when there's black people that can actually fill the job, and they're
No brainer.
exactly like it should have been like, hey, you know what? Let's give this one to them, and let's not put anybody that's not white. And again,
If it was 2020, if this was like July 2020, right? You know, we would have picked a black MLA from the Liberal Party, right? But then that's how the support goes. Like it's social pressure was on really strong back then, and then support waivers, flavor of the month goes away, and now we're back to not being taken seriously.
Look, this is the same thing as, I don't know, if I am in a company that is, I don't know, in a private company, and we put head of, I don't know, Asian relations, and I'm a Dominican black man. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. You're
Yep.
not, you're definitely not the guy. And if there was no qualified people to do it, then maybe that could be an excuse. But there's actually qualified people to do it. It's not really an excuse. Again, it's baffling, but it is what it is.
Last last question. Okay, I noticed. So the guy's name is Pat Dunn, right?
Yep.
All conservatives. Arlene Dunn, any relation? Any relation to Arlene Dunn here in New Brunswick?
No,
Head of Aboriginal Affairs? Isn't she
that's
head
like
of Aboriginal Affairs here in New Brunswick? Arlene Dunn out of St. John, Pat Dunn, head of African American Affairs in Nova Scotia. Like, what's going on?
but I
Can we form a
mean,
conspiracy theory here?
can you guys hear me? No, you guys
Yeah, we
cannot.
can hear you fine.
Okay, I didn't know my mic wasn't there. Okay, sorry about that.
It's
Uh,
okay.
I
Arlene Dunn,
think
Pat Dunn.
it's like LeBlanc. It's just a common name, a common last name.
All right.
There you, but it is crazy. But anyways,
Hillary's looking it up.
I'm literally typing in every single MLA to see if they're all conservatives because I really want one of these white men to be a liberal so bad. Because it would be so funny. It would be so funny if he had one liberal and it was not for the African affairs. But so far, it's looking like they are all conservative.
yeah. There's only 4 black MLAs, and they're 3 liberal and 1 NDP. That's all.
It's weird
That's
with
all.
politics because we look at it as a missed opportunity for him, but we have to keep on acknowledging that it's strategic for him and exactly what his voter base and constituents would be happier with. So to them, it's a win. It's all about whose side you're standing on in perspective, right? Um, really upsetting, and I guess I'm not surprised because I was saying that Nova Scotia was moving forward, but that was before the election, and now we have a conservative government and party.
Well, it's not all bad news. We got 4 black MLAs, which is it's a record. However, it is just crazy how they did that. But yes, I mean it's a
True.
good or bad, but it is just insane.